I had so much fun doing the research for this video. You're going to learn some awesome things about STRYPER and their debut album, The Yellow and Black Attack. Rocking you up for Jesus Christ with classic-style hard rock music and practical Bible teaching. All right, man, let's dive in. 10 awesome points of trivia about STRYPER and their debut album, The Yellow and Black Attack. Number 1, The Yellow and Black Attack obviously marked STRYPER's debut onto the Christian metal scene, but it also, in many ways, launched what we call the Christian metal genre in 1984.
Is STRYPER the founder of Christian metal? Like, did you guys start it?
You know what? When people ask me that question, I don't like to be the one to answer.
Yeah, you can't say that, yeah.
Because it just feels awkward. But, you know, I'll tell you this. We were around in 83. We broke in 84. Started making noise on the scene in 84. And before that, you had Petra, you had Res Band, in terms of bands that had broken, in that market, if you want to say it like that. There weren't very many. There weren't very many quote unquote Christian rock bands, and we came on the scene, and we were definitely very different than Petra and Res Band. And then after STRYPER came on the scene, a lot of bands followed suit. You know, bands like Barren Cross and White Cross and Blood Good. Oh my gosh, eventually Guardian, and the list goes on and on. A lot of bands after the fact. But so maybe we were the first to do that style at that level. Maybe we were. I don't know.
Number 2, The Yellow and Black Attack had 2 distinct, separate release dates. According to Wikipedia, the album was originally released in 1984 as a 6-song EP, and fewer than 20,000 copies were pressed, because the band's label, Enigma Records, was unsure about the potential market for Christian metal, because it was a new thing. It's so commonplace to us right now. It's like, of course, Christian metal, man, it's awesome. But this ties into number 1. STRYPER was really kind of busting through the gates of resistance and launching a genre. The original EP was produced on a budget of between $5,000 and $6,000. Andy Rockwell over at Angelic Warlord reports that they dropped $6,000 into the project, but then Michael in an early interview said this.
It was such a rush. We had $5,000. That's what was spent on that album. And we did it in like a week and a half.
Either way, that initial EP was pretty stellar, especially when you go back and consider the limited funds they had to work with. Then, according to Michael's autobiography, The Yellow and Black Attack was re-released as an official album after their first manager, Darren Hinton, loaned the band $100,000 to reproduce the album. Wikipedia reports it this way. After STRYPER achieved major success with their second release, Soldiers Under Command, The Yellow and Black Attack album was re-released on August 10th, 1986.
I got a copy here of your first EP. This is The Yellow and Black Attack.
Yeah.
Okay, this was recently reissued. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
What is the difference between
remix?
This one and just remix?
Remix plus an added song. 2 added songs.
2 added songs. What are the songs?
Reason for the Season, which was originally released in 1985 on a Christmas edition 12-inch single, which I think was the first introduction I had to STRYPER. I think I purchased that single because I remember bringing home this white album. It was all white with just them on the cover, and it had Winter Wonderland and Reason for the Season on it. And an updated version of their song, My Love I'll Always Show, which dated back to their Rock's Regime days. Number 3, the Yellow and Black Attack album was intentionally Christian. You might say, duh, of course it was. STRYPER was a Christian band. But there's a fascinating backstory here, man. If you're a STRYPER fan, you've likely heard Robert or Michael tell the story of watching Jimmy Swaggart on the television set and how their whole family circled up and received Christ while watching Jimmy Swaggart. Well, the two brothers were pretty young at that time, and as they entered into their teen years, they got their eyes off of Jesus and onto the world, and they slid pretty hard away from Jesus. But God brought a new friend who loved Jesus into their lives. His name was Kenny Metcalf. He and the Sweet Brothers became really good friends. This is an awesome story, man. Listen to Kenny tell it.
Back in the days of around 1978, I met this group of guys. They weren't known as STRYPER then. They were Robert Sweet and his brother Michael Sweet, and had a band called the Firestorm Band. This is 1978, and we had all met playing a talent contest, and that was where we all kind of converged for the very first time. Shortly after that talent contest and meeting, the Sweet Brothers moved in on the same street that I lived on, and so we became friends, and our friendship started to grow a little bit. I only lived so many houses from them. So time went on. They were playing. They became Rock's Regime, and I was playing with a band called Amulet at the time, and we all were out. You know, they were doing clubs more than me. I was more in rehearsal studios with bands playing and doing smaller little weird gigs, like we played for the Lunatic Society, Crazy Lunatic Society, and we literally pulled up in a limousine, Hollywood premiere kind of thing, and we all get out and they introduce us and TV cameras, everybody's there, and I mean, you're walking down a red carpet and then they rush you out the back door and put you in another limousine, and they just had limousines circling the building, you know, with the same people showing up and getting out and coming in as somebody else again. And so I was like, those are the kind of gigs we were playing while Robert Sweet, they were playing the country club, you know, and Roxy and things like that. So anyways, but I had gone off the deep end and started getting into heavily into drugs and things like that. Well, God got a hold of my life, and when He got a hold of my life, I started to share that with the Sweet brothers. And I've read in the books that have come out from STRYPER that the Sweets, they saw the difference, they saw the change in me. So when I came in and I'd start to share with them, you know, who Jesus was and you know, follow Him, they listened to me. And I used to tell my wife, I'll be back in 15 minutes. And those 15 minutes would be like 4 hours later.
Wow.
So I'd go in there. God used to put things in my heart to share with them. And until I delivered that message, it wouldn't leave me. I was like burdened with it. And so after a year of sharing Christ with them, Lord put it in my heart to go and confront them and say, you're for me or you're against me. You're gonna serve me or you're not.
Right.
This day, choose who you're going to serve. Now, one of the things that I had told them that has been published in I don't know how many different ways, the story changes, but I just remember telling them, you guys are a great band. You guys are going to go out and play. People are going to come to your concerts, and they're going to listen. They're going to go away. That was a great concert, but you're just a band. But I said, you get the Spirit of the Lord in your life and Him behind you. People who come to the concerts to still think you're great, but the difference is they're going to go away changed because of God showing up.
To start off, why don't you tell us, being the Teletrax viewers, what is the whole STRYPER concept all about?
It's about one thing, and that's Christ. You know, we're here to rock and roll, but to spread a message that's different from 90% of the groups that are out there. You know, we're here to sing about Jesus Christ and to spread the good news and hopefully to change lives, you know.
I know when you first started out being a heavy metal band or classed as a heavy metal band, you got criticism because supposedly Christianity and heavy metal or even rock and roll can't mix. Do you still catch that kind of heat?
Yeah, all the time, but it does mix, and I think with us it's the perfect mix. And a lot of people don't believe that it works, but I mean, we've seen a lot of changed lives to, you know, the people that we play with and the people that we play to and stuff, the other bands and the audience, and their lives get changed after hearing what we talk about, which is Jesus Christ. You know.
The reason why we know that, it's not like we're saying that and we think that's the case, but we get thousands of letters, you know, from kids that have changed their lives, that have stopped doing drugs, they've stopped doing this or that, and they've accepted Christ, and He's changed their lives. So that's how we know, and that's why we can say, you know, hey, lives are being changed.
Trivia point number 4. Did you know that STRYPER had a 5th original member? You just heard Kenny tell the story of how God used him to speak into Michael and Oz and Robert's lives. But did you know that Kenny also went on to be a pivotal part of the band during those early years?
Of course, I believed in what they were doing, and so I'd go over there, and as they had their first album out and different things, they'd give me stacks of them, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. They were continually giving me box loads of stuff, and I would go out and I'd witness to kids, and I'd give the stuff away. They used to give out these little yellow pieces of paper, and what it was a gospel tract from our church. One side told you how to ask Jesus into your heart, you know, to be your Lord and Savior, and how to live forever.
Right.
And the other side had a picture of my church on it. Well, we took that and we started printing them on yellow paper and put STRYPER's face on it and their mailing address.
Interesting.
Black ink, yellow and black.
Yep.
Fold it in half, and it was still that same gospel tract. We went to Magic Mountain, the very first gig I ever played with them, and I had a group of kids with the regular church tracts, handing these out to the heavy metal kids, and the heavy metal kids would look at it and throw them on the ground.
Yeah.
I had another group of kids following right behind
Picking
with
them
the
up?
STRYPER
Oh, okay.
track. The very same track, just had STRYPER's picture on it, and hand it to the very same kids. They look at it, look at both sides, fold it up, put it in their pocket.
Oh, okay.
So we knew that now it's a souvenir,
Yeah.
but the Word of God won't return void.
That's right.
So these kids, we got stories from kids, how they have these pinned up on their bulletin board. They kept them.
Yeah.
They read them. They got saved. Jesus, come into my heart. I gave 100,000 out each tour by hand. Every night before the show, being the resident keyboardist evangelist, I could go out without getting mugged.
You're right.
And
Okay.
I could, as the kids come through the door, I was like dealing cards.
Yeah.
I was giving them out that fast.
Wow.
When this hand I could go with this hand, and give them out. And then when we played big arenas where they had multiple doors,
Yeah.
we'd orchestrate the ushers
Okay.
to give them out.
So you were on the road with STRYPER for what, a couple of years?
I did their first 2 record album live tours, so Yellow and Black Attack and Soldiers Under Command.
Right.
And so that was 1985 and 1986. So I went from obscurity to my very first show with them was Six Flags Magic Mountain, California. And then, which was just, I told Robert, I said, look, I'll give you an answer after the show if I can, if I'm going to go on the road with you. I said, if I can pull this off, then I'll go. And the very minute the curtain went up, it was like I was at home. So, it's quite a history to look back on. What an opportunity. As a young musician, I dreamed of having gold records and playing these things. And STRYPER, they blessed me with gold and platinum albums and from touring with them.
Awesome.
And I got to do that. It didn't happen the way I thought it would happen.
Right.
But it happened the way God wanted it to happen.
Trivia point number 5, STRYPER's original label, Enigma Records, didn't know they were Christians when they signed them. Andy Rockwell over at Angelic Warlord reports that the band's first demo led to them being signed with Enigma Records. And while the music on the tape was the same as that on their debut album, their lyrics at that point were not yet Christian, but they chose to continue backing them when they looked around and saw how huge the band was getting in Hollywood. Trivia point number 6, the Yellow and Black Attack flat out achieved some amazing success. The record peaked at number 61 on the Japanese album charts. It made its way all the way up to number 103 on the US Top 200, and on the Christian Billboard album sales charts, it made it all the way to number 10. Trivia point number 7. The vision for STRYPER and their yellow and black image was Robert's idea.
STRYPER was the vision of Robert Sweet, not his brother Michael. Michael was the younger brother, the singer, guitar player in the band, but all the things that happened in the early days of STRYPER, those were the ideas that God gave to Robert.
The stripes and the satins, the chains and the bangles, the ceremonial robes of the priests of heavy metal, STRYPER.
It's caution colors. You can't miss it. It clashes. Something else too. This is totally an accident. According to science, the bumblebee cannot fly. Aerodynamics-wise, I suppose it is. It's impossible, science says, that the bumblebee flies. Well, in a lot of people's eyes, a lot of Christians' eyes, it is impossible for God to work through rock and roll. Well, we're yellow and black just like the bee, and we're striped just like the bee, and we never thought about that. We never intended it to be, but just like the bee flying is a miracle, Jesus speaking and working through rock and roll is a miracle. So, that's it. It's caution colors. I want to warn people not to go to hell.
Trivia point number 8. The Yellow and Black Attack album had 2 distinct album covers. There was the original 1984 EP cover and the reissued album cover from 1986. Trivia point number 9. STRYPER made a huge impression not just on the metal world, but on the music world with their 4-part harmonies.
Are you feeling lonely?
I remember when I first heard STRYPER, I was totally into Maiden and Judas Priest and Dokken and all those bands, right? And while those bands did have some harmonies along the way that were pretty cool, STRYPER took it to a whole other level. Honestly, when I first heard STRYPER, there was a little bit of me that was like, this is too pretty. But there was also something edgy and heavy and awesome about it, man, that wouldn't let me go. But I distinctly remember sitting and listening to their early albums, Yellow and Black Attack and Soldiers Under Command, and being blown away by the harmonies and the melodies of those records. Trivia point number 10, and if you didn't already know about this one, man, you're going to love this. In 1998, Guardian recorded a tribute cover of the original 6-song EP, and they titled it The Yellow and Black Attack is Back. This thing sounds amazing, man. Jamie Rowe and the whole band, they do a stellar job on this. They were obviously huge fans, and so they poured their heart into it, and it just turned out so great. I will absolutely link to it right here at the end of the video so you can check it out. Dude, if you love this video, be sure to hit that like button right now. Do me a huge favor, man. Grab the link and share it on your social media pages or share it with friends that you think would be blessed by this. If you haven't subscribed yet, oh my goodness. What are you waiting on, dude? Come on, subscribe so we can continue to connect like this. Be sure to check out Guardian's cover, man. The Yellow and Black Attack is back. It's awesome right over here. Keep your eyes on Jesus, and I'll catch you in the next video.